Hello everyone, in this video we will explain about close breeding. But before we explain in more detail about close breeding, I will explain what breeding means. Breeding is sexual reproduction that produces offspring, usually animals or plants. It can only occur between a male and a female animal or plant. Actually, it is an application of genetic principles in animal husbandry, agriculture, and horticulture to improve desirable qualities. Basically, there are two methods of breeding, which are inbreeding and outbreeding. For inbreeding, there are two types, which are close breeding and line breeding. For outbreeding, there are three types, which are crossbreeding, outcrossing, and interspecific breeding. As you can see, close breeding is listed under inbreeding. So, what is inbreeding? Inbreeding is breeding of the related animals as sire, male and dam female. Technically, inbreeding is defined as the mating of animals more closely related than the average relationship within the breed or population concerned. Performance of inbred animals lowers down the reproductive efficiency and may have several disorders. Hence, this method of breeding is not practiced for livestock improvement. However, inbreeding is intentionally practiced to create genetic uniformity of laboratory stocks and to produce stocks for crossing, animal and plant breeding. But inbreeding is unintentionally generated by keeping small populations for breeding and during selection.
There are two types of inbreeding. First one is close breeding and the second one is line breeding. What is close breeding? The most intensive breeding where animals are very closely related and can be traced back to more than one common ancestor. Next, line breeding, mating animals that are more distantly related, which can trace back to more than one common ancestor.
So today we're going to talk about close breeding. What is close breeding? Close breeding is when a group of animals are bred and they are closely related and they can be traced back to more than one common ancestor. In other words, incest. So, close breeding is also the most intensive form of breeding. Examples of close breeding are sire to daughter, son to dam, or brother to sister.
The next topic is how to do close breeding. Close breeding involves mating process between full siblings, which is full sisters and brothers. Full siblings are the siblings from the same biological parents. Before the breeding process, the breeder can observe the characteristics of potential parents and let the animal mate free and naturally. The breeder also can eliminate any unwanted traits or disorder before the breeding process. Then, the latest generation of offsprings can also undergo the same breeding process over and over again.
What's the example of close breeding? One of the examples of close breeding is father-to-daughter breeding, as it mentioned earlier, which is sire-to-daughter breeding. But why they do the close breeding? When it comes to this type of breeding, a breeder will have to determine a key component to measure the degree in which two of copies of a gene receive are relevant to ancestor of both the mother and the father. This is classified as an breeding coefficient. When performing this type of inbreeding father and daughter dog, One would like to be assured that this can be used to bring out certain underlying genes to the surface.
Let's take a look at the effects of close breeding. So what are the advantages of close breeding? The advantages are you can maximize the genetic gain of animal products. For example, you can get more milk production, we can get more egg production, we can get more meat production. So if you get all this and you have more of the products, we can increase the profitability as well, because we have more milk production, egg production, and meat production. And the second point would be the elimination of undesirable recessive genes. So when you breed all these animals which are closely related in terms of genetic makeup, you can eliminate somehow eliminate the undesired recessive genes. For example, low milk production or egg production or low meat production or something. Yeah. And it increases homozygosity because you have lesser recessive genes and you want to get more of the dominant genes or something, and you get more homozygosity, And then, but in this case, you can also decrease the genetic variance in this group of animals because you don't get much variety in this pool of animals because they're almost the same genes. So here are the next one would be the disadvantages of close breeding. The animals may pass down genetic deformities in animals onto the next generation. This is why recessive genes are mostly undesired, and they are usually not really bred when they're found to have all these undesired recessive genes. And the next point would be the progeny becomes more susceptible to diseases. For example, when a disease hits a group of animals with almost the same genetic makeup, you can be sure that most of all these animals would have the same disease when the disease hits, would get the disease. The next disadvantage of close breeding would be reproductive failure would increase. The fourth disadvantage would be it would be difficult to find the stage to end the continuous close breeding to avoid the bad effects of the system. So when you keep doing close breeding, you can't really see the stage at when to end the close breeding. Otherwise, you can have a bad effect of the system onto the animals. The next point would be early life vitality may be reduced. Example would be when the animals are young, they are more susceptible to diseases, basically. So when they are young, they can't really survive, and the early life vitality will be reduced. The last point would be close breeding of dairy cattle, specifically dairy cattle, would give very little value because of its detrimental effects.
Here are some characteristics that can be observed on the close breeding offspring. The close breeding offsprings are very genetically alike with predictable characteristics such as fur color, height, weight, and many more. They also tend to exhibit more recessive traits than usual. Due to inherited traits, the offspring may have inherited disorder and loss of genetic diversity. They also may have poor immune system function. That's all from me. Thank you.